Midwest driver education biking laws. If you don't know me, I'm a state certified driving instructor. I teach adults and teens. We're going to be discussing bicycle and pedestrian laws. This is a driver education curriculum. Several years ago, I took this as a professional development. So what I want to do is educate you and prepare you for what you are going to see and what we're going to talk about. So it's going to be very educational. Who needs this? If you're new to the United States, if you're a person who wants to learn how to drive, if you're a biker, if you're a walker, it's really going to help you and really going to be very educational. So if you have questions, you put them in. I want you to feel comfortable. I want you to ask questions, and I'm going to get started. So there's the table of contents. It is quite involved. So I'm going to go through some of the single elements of it. What is the curriculum? Why is the curriculum necessary? Vulnerable road users. Unit 1 deals with laws for bicycle safety. Also, you will deal with information: where must bicyclists ride? When should bicyclists stay to the right? Main bicyclists and may ride side by side. Unit 2 deals with laws for driving safely around bicyclists. Unit 3 deals with common crashes with bicyclists, the right hook, the left cross, how to avoid committing side swipes, which is really important. How to avoid during a bicyclist or motorcyclist. This is when you actually open the door accidentally on a bicyclist, which can happen, does happen. And we want to really make sure that we are not doing that to our fellow bicyclists when they're out riding. Next, we want to discuss and talk about improving safety for bicyclists and motorized traffic and related laws. We also want to talk about Unit 5, which deals with laws for pedestrians. Unit 6 deals with laws for driving safely around pedestrians. Unit 7, common crashes. It goes on. So we're going to get in deep. We're going to talk about this. And if you have questions, you go ahead and put that in, because I want you really to become educated about driving around and being around bicyclists. So we're going to go ahead and get started. And if you have questions, go ahead and put those in. All right, guys, we're going to go ahead and get started. And if you can see this, give me a thumbs up. Okay, we're going to go ahead and go through this. I decided as a point of emphasis, because if I really want you to be really good drivers, you need to know about bicyclists. You need to know about pedestrian laws. Why am I doing this? Because I see the benefits of you becoming really good drivers. I see the benefits of you really understanding pedestrian laws, bicycle laws, and I see some really good drivers. Are you the best class I ever had? No. Are you near the top? You're in the top 5. You're in the top 6. But whenever a kid runs a light, misses a turn, gets confused, uses the wrong blinker, drifts out of their lane, that tells me you're not quite ready yet. And none of you are at that level yet, but you will be. It's going to take time. It's going to take upwards of up to 10 years to become a master. Some of you are 16, that's 26. Some of you are 17, that's 27. Some of you are 15, that's 25. So you have to keep getting better. I have to keep getting better as your instructor. And I realize these small things are paying huge benefits when you drive. So I'm taking time to do this. Again, the chat is on. So what I need you to do is, I'm going along, you put in a question about what I'm going over. Allow me a few minutes to go through this. I need a real deep question, not when is the test, when is this over. This is for you as well as me, because many of you still ride bikes. You're still walking home, and some of you make fatal mistakes where you could be killed. So we're going to get right into this. Okay, why is this curriculum necessary? According to the 2019 Dangerous by Design report, the number of pedestrians struck and killed by motorist vehicles in the United States has increased 35%. over the past decade. A decade is 10 years if you don't know. From 2008 to 2017, 50,000 pedestrians died as a result of collisions. Okay? A pedestrian is someone who is not in a vehicle. This could be someone walking, someone on a bike, someone on a motorcycle, but this emphasis will focus on pedestrians and people riding bikes, since none of you ride motorcycles legally. According to Traffic Crash Facts reports, more than 19,000 bicyclists were involved in motor vehicle collisions during the same time period. These type of crashes are bringing a far greater chance of death from bicyclists than they do motorists. So if you're on a bike and you get hit above 35 miles an hour, the likelihood of you being killed is greater because people drive very fast, as we see. We're going to talk about vulnerable road users. Vulnerable road users are pedestrians, bicyclists, individuals with disabilities that make up a disproportionately large number of fatalities. Okay, so people are dying. And the example I want to point out, when we drive in the morning, afternoon, evening, if we see people riding their bike on the left instead of the right, if you are riding your bike, you need to ride with the flow of the traffic. I want to be clear, I'll say it again. If you're riding your bike, you need to ride with the flow of the traffic. If you are walking and there's no sidewalk, you need to walk against the flow of the traffic so you can be seen. So those are the rules and standards, and that's going to kind of lead our foundation. In 2018, legislators approved a bill requiring all motorist educational courses to be dedicated to a minimum of 1 hour of instruction focusing on specifics of promoting safety of bicyclists and other vulnerable road users. Since motorists education is the first experience behind the wheel for many new motorists, and that's you. Your first legal experience is with an instructor, me or Mr. Brian. Not your mama, not your daddy, and property up north, me or Mr. Brian or another driving instructor. Okay? So in essence, your little back experience doesn't really count because you have to have 6 hours with a certified instructor. Other states, it's more hours, okay? And that's what most of you understand. And then also laws are changing. In Florida, in Ohio, they're changing the laws to make you maybe take a class like this. And I could see it coming. It's already happened in Florida. It's already happened in Ohio. It's going to happen. It's just a matter of time. Again, all of you need to put in a quick question as I'm going through this. I don't want this to be boring, but I'm really trying to educate you. Okay, vulnerable road users. We're going to talk about vulnerable road users. Who are vulnerable road users? What are they vulnerable road users? We're looking at it. They're called VRU. They are children, elderly, individuals with disabilities. They're the most vulnerable, okay? Little kids don't understand the dangers of cars. Some of you are still driving fast through neighborhoods. Elderly people, older people, there are more of them than you. So you're going to have to deal with grandma going slow. Do bicyclists rely on hand signals to inform? They rely on more than one thing, Emily, and I love that question. Emily, we're going to go through that. And if you can be patient with that question, they rely on hand signals, they rely on a reflector, they rely on a light, they rely on a helmet. Thank you, Emily. Very good question, but I want to take it deeper. And that's okay, your question's out of order. Just pop them in and put a Q in a question. So you driving, you have to be aware of children more. Some of you still are going too fast in neighborhoods. Children, the elderly, individuals, disabilities are considered a vulnerable group of people since they have physical or cognitive limitations. Little kids don't understand the dangers of cars. Older people will walk slower across the street. You as a young driver need to slow down, but you don't. Motorists have a responsibility to safeguard the lives of others. So if you hit a kid, you hit an elderly person, you're going to be charged because you must know better. It is critically important for drivers to allow extra time. You see an old person walking, you should be slowing down, covering that brake. You see kids playing, you should be slowing down, covering that brake. But I don't see you doing that. We go into a neighborhood, you still driving like 25, 27, 30. You're going too fast. But that's the limit. But you don't understand, there are kids playing. Okay? So I talked about vulnerable road users. A driver's actions can end or prematurely change the lives and lives of other road users. So when you're driving to school, and many of you will, at the end of this summer, you're going to drop your little brother or sister off. Kids are going to be running out from mom and dad's car across to the school. Slow down. Cover your brake. Your mom and dad will rip your head off. Trust me, I've already talked to your parents, and they're going to rip your head off. And they should. So we talked about vulnerable road users. Please remember that in your mind. Let's keep moving. You see some pictures. Okay. Is there a slowdown like construction web? We're not talking about construction. Let's focus, Natalie, on pedestrians and bicyclists. That's the focus of today. So, Natalie, focus on bicyclists and vulnerable road users. So, I'm shifting your issue away from construction. We're not talking about construction today. Okay. We're talking about all areas, not just subdivisions, downtown areas, subdivisions, main roads, intersections, anywhere on the street where pedestrians walk, they're vulnerable road users. So now what I need you to do is think big picture, okay? Any downtown area, any sidewalk, any side road, people will be walking there to catch the bus, ride an e-scooter. So think of big. Okay, we see the picture of a person riding a bike. We see the picture of the lady walking with she's walking with the flow of the traffic. She could get hit. You need to walk against the flow of the traffic if there's no sidewalk. Okay, let's talk about this. I like the questions. Where must cyclists ride? Bicyclists often share the road with motor vehicles. All of you know this. You've been riding your bike before. Don't act like you haven't. Some motorists have mistakenly believed that bicyclists are not allowed on the road. You are allowed on the road. And you can ride on the sidewalk too. But if you ride on the sidewalk, you could hit a pedestrian. And that's dangerous too. So you have to weigh, okay, I want to drive about 20. If you ride your bicycle on the sidewalk and you're going about 15 or 20, you're going to hit someone. And that's your fault. Well, then if you want to ride fast and get a good exercise, you're going to have to be on the street. So you need to look at both sides. I'm going to keep moving. While the road, bicyclists are generally required to follow the same rules. If the light is yellow, bicyclists should be slowing down. If not, they run a yellow light, they're going to get hit. That's partly their fault. If you are a bicyclist getting ready to make a right turn and you don't look to your left to check cars and a car comes across and doesn't see you, that's partly your fault too. So bicyclists and cars need to look for each other. Okay, I'm kind of giving you a little summary of it as we go along, but many of you are going to say, well, what if this? What if that? So the people in cars need to watch what they're doing. The people on bikes need to watch what they're doing. And pedestrians needs to watch what they're doing. That kind of gives responsibility to all people, because many of you are going to say, well, what if the bicyclist is doing this and the light does this and the light does this? So I kind of answered your question. We all have to take personal responsibility. Let's talk about this. While traveling on the road, bicyclists are generally required to follow the same rules. Remember, if the light's yellow, you should be slowing down, not running a light. You're going to get killed. You're on a bike. You don't have still around you. If you're making a left turn, you have a right to get in the left turn lane when it's clear, where cars are, and get in there and look and check. That's very risky, but you could get hit, but you have to make a left turn, okay? And you'll see some motorists and cyclists sharing your road. And let's keep talking about this. It is illegal for cyclists to ride against the flow of the traffic. I'll say it again. It is illegal for cyclists to ride against the flow of the traffic, but some cyclists may not be aware of this. We almost hit a lady driving around a school, around a circular parking lot. She was riding against the flow of the traffic. It was two men and a lady. She went to the right by the curb. We almost hit her. I gently rolled down my window and the man stopped. I said, listen, she should be on the other side of the road. We almost ran her over. Okay? So got to be aware. We're not trying to kill anyone. Okay? So understand that. We talked about VRUs. Bicyclists are encouraged to be predictable. So Emily asked the question, be predictable. Take up the full lane. Up, if your arm is up, this means a right turn. Out means a left turn. Down means slow down. Use hand signals. Look at people. Do they see you in their car, Emily? Do you see them, Emily? If no, someone's about to get ran over. And Emily, let's use you as an example. Not saying you would run over someone, or Lex, let's use you as an example. If you're not looking, and I didn't see them, I swear I didn't see them, and you hit a bicyclist, you're probably going to be charged. I'm just being real with you. Laws dedicate that standards are set for hand signals. So a bicyclist should be using hand signals. And here's the picture. If you want to stop, you use your left hand and you put it down to your side. I'm from the Midwest, baby. Where you from? How you doing, Victor? What's up? If you want to make a right turn, you stick it out with your right arm. You want to make another right turn, you can do it two ways. You can do it with your left arm up or your right arm out. If you make a left turn, you stick it out. You have to use your signals. Okay? Emily asked, and thank you, Emily, for asking that question. You're from the UK? Awesome. They got bicycle rules over there too. How you doing? Let's talk about this. And Emily asked a question. Bicyclists, you need to do yourself a favor. You need to have a forward-facing white light and a rear-facing red reflector. Again, on your bike, if you're serious about this, you need to have a forward-facing white light and a rear-facing red reflector. Rear-facing red lights are highly recommended, but not required by law. If you buy if you buy a bike at any little store, they have reflectors on there. But many of you don't want to ride your 10-year-old bike. You want to get a $300 bike, a $500 bike, right? They have some really beautiful carbon fiber bikes, lower grade, at these big box stores. Okay? They're awesome. So I want to just talk about that. You have a responsibility. When should cyclists stay to the right? As a person operating a bike upon a highway or street that exceeds or shall ride to, you want to be predictable. You want to ride to the right curb as close as possible, okay? But we know there's trash and debris, there's sewers. You got to be really careful, okay? I'm kind of summarizing this a little bit. I need you to put some questions in about vulnerable road users. All of you put questions in right now before I go to the next section. Put in a question about vulnerable road users. Show me you're paying attention. I have the curriculum right in front of me. Please don't try to use ChatGPT or DeepSeek or do random stuff. Just put in a quick question, put a Q and a question about vulnerable road users, okay? Show me you've been listening. What do bicyclists need to have on their bike? You got to have a helmet on if you really care about your brain, right? When overtaking or passing another bicyclist in the same direction, when preparing to turn left, okay? There's debris on the road. How may bicyclists may ride side by side? According to the law, individuals operating bicyclists on highways or streets shall ride more than two abreast, okay? So you have a right to ride two abreast. You've seen those professional riders, those old Gs, those young Gs, they're 25, they're 30, 35, they're in really good shape. You know, a man or a lady, they got a helmet on, nice $2,000 bike, carbon fiber bike, lightweight rims. You're like, man, that's an expensive bike. That's an OG who used to be a professional bike rider. They're in their early 30s. I like the question about electric bikes. We'll answer that in a minute. Yes, bicyclists need to use hand signals. Taillights are recommended. Say something different than what I put in. Like, I really care about what you say. I already know what you just put in, but say something different. Should old people have someone walking with them? No. If your grandma or uncle or auntie doesn't want someone with them, they're an adult. They're over 21. Yes, it includes scooters, Lex, because more people are having accidents on scooters. New York, New Jersey. A lot of people ride scooters to deliver things, deliver food. They have to follow the rules too. On Scene TV, there was a video of two kids on a scooter who got struck. One got killed. Uh, do semi trucks see bikes? No, they're too high up in the air. So I doubt that they see them. They don't even see cars because they're way up in the air. Okay. And you got to really look. I like the questions. If I use signals, if you don't, you want to make sure they see you, Seth, by making eye contact. If I'm on a bike and you're riding in the car and you're not looking for me, you don't see me. So you got to make eye contact to confirm that you see me and I see you. If I'm looking and you don't see me, I'm assuming you're going to run me over. Okay. So old people don't need someone to walk with them. Now, if they were bad back, hip surgery, something, they might have someone with them. They might have a walker. I think we're looking at the term old like they are going to fall down. I think you need to relook at what old is. Old could be 30. You guys are 15. Someone 30 is, twice your age. That's old to you. Some of you are 17. Twice your age is 34. That's old. Okay. Your parents are in their 30s and 40s. They must have looked like robots. So I think you need to rethink old because the new old could be 70. The new old could be 80. People are living longer. Grandma's got her new bike. Your dad is downstairs. Your uncle's downstairs lifting weights. He's got his professional bike. So people are living longer. If a bike jumps out in front of the car, obviously, and I can talk about that, but you want to be looking, Carson, for areas where people pull out. A driveway from McDonald's, a corner, a private road. You as a motorist need to be aware of private driveways. I like the question, Carson. Let's keep it going. Okay. Logan, to answer your question, you need to look for bikes and bikes need to look for you. I like what I said. And let's say a bicyclist is hit. They're going to interview the bicyclist if they're alive. They're going to interview motorists. And the officer will determine who's at fault. If the officer can't determine who's at fault, they're going to pull a video camera from maybe a store, maybe the gas station across the street, maybe the restaurant, because more and more of these stores have cameras. Okay. And they're going to say, well, the car didn't use its blinker. They made a right turn. Okay. That's called a right hook. And then that's your fault as a motorist. So Logan, to answer your question in an educational way, you need to look deeper for bikes and bicyclists need to look deeper. So both of you share that responsibility. I think that's a fair, good question. Let's keep going. Safe habits. Leave room, and that's the question, and that's the answer I want you to make. Leave room for bicyclists. If you leave room for bikes, you're going to be safer. When driving around bicyclists, it pays to be attentive as possible. Leave them plenty of space. Do not follow them closely. If you were riding with me and you're riding by a bicyclist, I'm telling you, slow down because they could slip and fall. Okay? Try to make eye contact. Seth asked me about that. Make eye contact. If you don't look at the bicyclist and they don't look at you, you don't see them, they don't see you. You don't want to hit anyone. You don't want to be that much of a hurry to kill someone. Try to make eye contact. This will let them know. Bicycle lights are smaller than large vehicles. Sometimes they can blend in. So you got to be careful. Is there an extra distance to give them? I like that, Jen. I would say minimum of 4 feet from the curb to your car, 4 feet. And I would give them at least a car length. Jen, I like that question. And let's look at this. Above all, remember, speed kills. Hitting someone by a car traveling 20 miles an hour gives them a 5% chance of dying from the impact. Hitting them at 40 skyrockets them to 85%. So the faster you go, you're going to hit someone and they're going to die. So you got to remember that around downtown areas, open areas on roads, going to parks. So give them extra room and time. Again, I'm just summarizing this. Let's keep these questions coming in. Okay, you see this diagram. I just talked about it. Hit by a vehicle traveling 20, 9 out of 10 will survive. That's good. Hit Is there going to be a lot of questions? Yes, they are, Sophie. You need to be prepared. You need to be prepared. Hit a vehicle traveling at 30, 5 out of 10 survive. Hit at 40, 1 in 10. So you need to reduce your speed. What I need you to do in your mind when you're driving, you see kids on the bike, slow down. Stay to the middle left. Okay? If you come upon a bicyclist, wait for opposing traffic. Okay? Let's talk about a squeeze. This is the squeeze. A car is by a large bus. You're squeezing the bicyclist off the road. Don't do that. You don't want to squeeze someone off the road. As you pass, be mindful of gravel spray. And we were riding today. It was the storm. The semi-truck was just spraying us with water. Okay? You could have a bicyclist riding. Control your speed when you pass them. Okay? These are some local towns. Jen, throwing rocks at you. That's what it looks like, Jenny. I'm going to throw rocks and gravel. Dirt road. Okay? Rock dust. You know what rock dust is. I'm going to get some rock dust from the corner of your house and throw it at you. That's what it looks like. It's like a fog. It's like dirt, okay? And on the side of the road, you have gravel, you have dirt, you have debris, okay? Oh, I'm sorry, you guys don't play outside anymore. You're just in on your computers. But a couple of years ago, kids used to play outside and stay out all day. So there's gravel on the side of the road, so you got to be careful, okay? So you want to give them at least 5 feet when you're passing them. Give them at least 5 feet. Please put more questions in, okay? You can see how big a car is, a smaller car, a larger car, a bus. The bigger the vehicle, the less likely you are to see a bicyclist, and you need to give them more room, okay? 3 feet is the minimum that you want to give them, but we want to give them at least 5 feet, okay? Let's keep it going. Pop questions in. Okay, pop questions. Let's talk about this. This is one of the most important things. Common crashes from bicyclists. A right hook. Please don't say, what is a right hook? I'm going over it right now. A right hook is obviously when motorists, you're turning right. You are motorist. A right hook is a right hook that motorists fail to yield to bicyclists when traveling the same direction, making a right turn directly in the bicyclist path. You're riding your bike along the street. A motorist has on their blinker, but they don't see you. They turn in front of you, you either hit them or they hit you. So you need to understand a right hook. So please don't say, can you tell me what a right hook is? I just went over it. I'll go over it again. A right hook is when the motorist fails to yield to a bicyclist traveling in the same direction. This happened in downtown a couple days ago. We were waiting to make a left turn. A truck didn't yield to a woman in her 30s. She had a fat tire bike. She was going across. This person made a left turn, so it was the left cross. He almost hit her. And I said to myself, yep, left cross. He didn't look. He didn't yield. And if you would have been in that truck making a left turn, you would have failed because you almost hit a pedestrian. And you'll see instances of this. Okay, put questions in. This can happen when a bicyclist is on the shoulder of the road. So you see them, but you forget. And this is what it looks like, a right hook. You forget about the bicyclist, you're riding on the shoulder of the road or in a bike lane. And then they come up to make a right, you come up to make a right turn and you forget and you don't look and check. You don't look out your window to the right because a lot of you don't look yet, but you are getting better. Is it common for bicyclists to have road rage? Seth, anyone can have road rage. A skateboarder, a pedestrian, your mama, your daddy, your teacher, anyone can have road rage because people don't respect each other's energy on the road. I'll say that in a very educational way. People don't respect anything. So it happens. Okay? You get a pedestrian who's angry at cars, they start throwing rocks. They'll start throwing sticks. You get a bicyclist who's mad, they're throwing stuff. Get a pedestrian anyone has the potential to road rage. a little kid. Okay? So remember the right hook. I'm going to keep moving. Now, these are some images of more transition lanes. This is happening across the country where they're making the lanes skinnier for bike lanes, okay? And you'll see an actual picture of a bike on the ground. Downtown areas have it. And they're trying to make the areas more inviting for open air, more restaurants. And you're going to see this in the next couple of years across the United States. Hey, let's talk about a left hook. A left hook is where the motorist fails to yield. Your fault, motorist, you fail to yield and turns into or in front of a bicyclist. Left cross, right hook. Again, please ask me, what is the right cross? What's the left cross? What's the right hook? I just explained it, and then you're going to see a picture about it. So this is why left turns are highly dangerous. And let's take a look at this. Here's the picture of your left cross. And this is what happened. We were driving in Baltimore. We were getting ready to make the left turn. We were in the middle lane. I'm like, we're good. But I saw a lady, I think her daughter or her friend already went across. This person in the truck was not looking. He came to the middle and almost hit her and ran her over. I'm like, oh boy. And she stopped in time. She almost got hit and ran over. That is a left cross. How to avoid left crosses. When turning left, motorists must yield to bicyclists just like any other vehicle. Scan the whole roadway. Some of you do that. Who does this? Logan is doing this more. Blake is doing this more. Carson is doing this more. Emily's doing this more. Grace is doing this more. Lily is doing this more. I'm just naming a few people who are starting to really get the big picture of scanning. Okay? Ben is doing this more. Jen, you're starting to look and see the whole intersection. Jen, if I want you to really be good, I got to set you up for success. Don't you agree? I want you to be one of the best. It takes work. So again, left cross. When turning left, motorists must yield for bicyclists like any other vehicle. Scan the whole roadway, including the sidewalk, before turning left. What you don't understand and underestimate, bicyclists are traveling at 20, 25, 30. Remember I gave you the example of the OG mom, OG dad, who used to be an incredible bicyclist in their 20s. They got that $10,000 bike. They got new tires on it, new brakes. Mom and Dad, I'm going out riding. I'm going to ride 50 miles. I'll be back in 2 hours. Okay, you think it's normal. That's what your mom and dad does. They travel at 35 miles an hour. Okay, but then you get a call and your mom or dad got hit. So you can tell a professional bike rider from an amateur. They have a helmet on. They have their proper gear on. They got the proper reflector and light on the front. They got the water bottle. They got the goggles on. I'm like, man, that's an impressive rider, but it's really dangerous today. So don't underestimate the speed. Keep in mind that all bicyclists are approaching the opposite direction of a wide lane on the sidewalk. So you got to really look. Okay. You're going to have some questions on side swipe. A side swipe is a motorist misjudging passing distance, trying to squeeze between a bicyclist and a center line, medium, or oncoming traffic. I never have you do that because you're going to break a mirror off, you're going to hit a car, and you're going to kill someone. I never have you force your car into a small area. Those are some things I don't have you do. Sometimes physical contact with the passing car can cause the bicyclist to crash. Okay? The easiest way to ensure adequate clearance from a bicyclist is to simply change lanes. You need to change lanes when you see a bicyclist. If you're not sure, get over. The law allows motorists to drive to the left of the center lane. Put in some questions. Let's go. For tips on how to pass, look at page 7. I'm going along. Let's talk about drive outs. Karsten had a question on this about drive outs. And the question is, in a drive out, motorists pull out from the side street or driveway into a bicyclist path. Okay, so remember what I said, Carson and Emily and everyone else, you have to take 50% responsibility. and the bicyclist has to take 50% responsibility. If you truly didn't see them, the officer will determine it, the bicyclist will determine it. But if the bicyclist looks at you and you look at them and pretend you didn't see them and hit them, now you got a problem. Now the bicyclist is going to get a lawyer. And now maybe the bicyclist had a GoPro on. You don't know, or a little camera on their chest. They wanted to record it. Maybe they're streaming live to their grandkids. Hey, honey, I'm traveling at 40. And then a car hits them. My grandma had on her camera. That motorist saw them. You don't know what a bicyclist have. So now you're going to be like, oh, I guess I better not lie. So people have GoPros on, they have little cameras on, they have smart glasses on. So a lot of you better rethink, because you're going to get caught up in the lie. And if you injure a bicyclist and their bills are more than $15,000, you're probably going to get sued. And maybe they got a GoPro on. And they videoed, and I contacted them. And then the camera sees you looking at them, you're done. How to avoid common drive out. When waiting for traffic to clear so you can't pull out of a roadway, yield the right of way. This is what I always try to tell you guys. Yield the right of way, yield the right of way, yield the right of way. Don't underestimate a bicyclist's speed. They can travel faster than you think. 15 miles an hour, 20 miles an hour, 30 miles an hour. You see some of those OG bicyclists, they doing about 35 or 40. You're like, sheesh. Grandma is riding that bike. Grandpa's riding that bike. Okay? Don't underestimate. Maybe they're getting ready for a triathlon. Okay? You don't know. Always stop behind the stop bar. A lot of you still don't do that. Put in more questions, please. Let's go. Okay? Put in more questions. So when you're riding and also driving your car, stop behind the stop bar or stop line. Some of you still don't do that. Okay? Always stop behind the stop bar, crosswalk, or sidewalk to alert bicyclists on the sidewalk, in the bike lane, or hugging the right edge. Also be aware that bicyclists riding against the flow of the traffic can be approached from your right. It is illegal for bicyclists to ride against the flow of the traffic, but people don't listen. Like some of you don't listen. You don't put in your seatbelt when we get in the car. I'm not calling out names. You don't look over your shoulder when you're changing lanes. I'm not calling out names. You still go through yellow lights. I'm not calling out names. You still go through red lights. I'm not calling out names. If we can't see traffic, are we allowed to go over the crosswalk a bit? The answer is move up slow. I didn't say go over the crosswalk. You should be able to move your car forward and look to your left and look to your right. Blake does it. Benjamin does it. Carson does it. So I said more than Blake, since you want to hate on him because he's one of the best. I see more of you doing the observation without even going, because your car is elevated at least 4 feet or 5 feet in the air. You should look, if you're a video gamer, you should look and check. And some of you are starting to do that. Some of you still are not sure. So my answer to you, Lex, you have a good skill set. Look before you get up to the intersection. Look before you get there. You're going to miss a tractor. You're going to miss a motorcycle. You're going to miss a car. Okay? You can always move up a little bit. I use those people's names to challenge all of you to become better drivers. I need to challenge you. Look, tomorrow when I drive, I got Sophia, Nina, Carson, Logan, okay, Braylon, and Zach. I'm challenging you to be better drivers. Be better drivers than you were today. Parallel park. Merge on the freeway without me telling you to look over your shoulder. Have good acceleration. Have great speed control. I ask you to make a lane change, mirror, turn signal, blind spot. Instead of putting your foot on the brake, or if you see a traffic backup, you should be slowing down without me telling you, because you're looking at traffic, and some of you are starting to do that. The reason this class is a really good class, I'm giving you more freedom. I'm taking you on the roads. We're in more traffic, morning traffic, afternoon traffic, in the rain, making lane changes. Okay, and you are getting better. Some of you are still a little hesitant, but you're going to get better. Let's keep moving. Dooring. You see the picture. I had a mom last summer. She was one of those OGs. She was about 35, no disrespect. She had a carbon fiber bike, helmet, outfit on. This bike was about $4,000. I'm like, man. The next day I saw her, teeth knocked out, broke her collarbone, face scarred up. She drove her son to driver's ed. I said, ma'am, you know me, Mom, what happened? I got hit by a door. I'm like, whoa. Dooring is a type of crash which is common while a motorist opens the door of a parked car directly into the path of a bicyclist who is riding in the bike lane or traveling the main travel lane. This can be a deadly crash. Typically, the biker's handlebars hit the door, turning the front wheel to the right, sending the bicyclist flying to the left. You could get hit by a car. You could flip over the door. This is one of the questions on your test. Okay? Dooring. So you have to be careful. It's called the Dutch reach. You use your right hand, you reach over your right shoulder. This turns your, do you do that? Yes. Because you could be in your neighborhood one day, tired, not looking, a car could come. So Dutch reach, dooring. Okay? How to avoid dooring? You need to look over your shoulder. Oh, we see the Dutch reach. It's right here. A highly effective method for checking traffic is to practice the Dutch reach. While opening a vehicle door, it is common to open the door with the left hand. That's lazy. Reach over. Well, I don't do that. I wasn't taught that. Well, unfortunately, I'm an instructor. I have to teach you how to drive. You mean I got to watch for vulnerable road users? Yes. I got to watch for bicyclists? Yes. I got to watch people for e-scooters? Yes. I got to watch people for road raging? Yes. I got to watch for kids who don't know how to drive? Yes. I got to watch for motorists who speed and cut us off? Yes. It's a lot. So the Dutch reach. Okay, this is the picture of the Dutch reach. You're looking over your shoulder and using your right hand. Okay? Put in questions. If we can't see, we already talked about. Put in more questions. Let's go. Improving safety of bicyclists and motorized traffic or related laws. Bike lanes. A bike lane is designed specifically for bikes. You can't ride in it. This is a bike lane. It's a lane specifically for bikes. I have a great video. There's a bike. It is green or red or blue, and you have a bike. Some bike lanes go the opposite way of traffic. I don't know if I like that. You also have a buffer, okay? A buffer is provided a degree of protection, okay? I'm not showing you the shallows. Again, I'm not taking you too deep. A shallow is where you see the image of the bike on the ground. That'll let you know, hey, bikes, a bike box. This is a bike box. Lines. I have a good video on this. A lot of people see bike lanes, indicates the presence of a bike. It's common warning for motorists to watch out for bicyclists. Let's get some questions in. Bike lanes in indicates the end of a bike lane. Share with the road. A lot of you see the yellow sign, share the road with bikes. There are different signs across the United States. Again, I'm just hitting some of the main things. Where my pedestrians walk? Let's get a question on bikes. Put it in, please. I've already talked about bikes. I'm talking about pedestrians. I'm trying to save someone's life. Put a question in. Let's go. As you put in questions in on bikes, I'm going to talk about pedestrians. Laws for pedestrian safety. Where must pedestrians walk? Law states pedestrians should walk on the roadway. Should. Where sidewalks are provided. If a sidewalk is provided, a pedestrian should be walking on the sidewalk. Okay? A pedestrian shall not walk upon the main travel portion of the highway. If you want to end your life prematurely, you're going to walk on the edge of the road, guaranteed to get hit. Guaranteed. But we know people love to challenge each other. You know, they won't hit me. I'm a strong teenager. I got 2 offers, right? I'm an OG. I got my $10,000 bike from 5 years ago. I got my helmet on. No, people are not indestructible. Okay, where sidewalks are not provided, pedestrians shall when possible, walk to the left side of highway traffic. So this is really kind of a deep dive. Again, you got to really understand where to walk and to be safe. This means pedestrians are not allowed to walk on the road where sidewalks are provided. So if a pedestrian was walking the side of the road and they got hit and they should be walking on the sidewalk, you still will be pulled over. They're going to check you for drugs. They're going to look at video cameras. And if it was truly an honest mistake, you still will go to court. You may or may not be charged, but the pedestrians are vulnerable. So I need you to know this, okay? This means that pedestrians are not allowed to walk on the roadway when sidewalks are provided, but people don't listen. In case where sidewalks are under repair or the sidewalks are closed due to construction, a detour should be posted. And we see a lot of construction, and I don't think a lot of these sign crews are putting areas where pedestrians can walk. I look deeper than you do. Jan, put a question in. Ben, put a question in. Alex, put a question in. Why do pedestrians walk opposite side of the flow of the traffic, but bikes do? To be seen for safety. Thank you, Logan. That was easy. Bicyclists ride with the flow of the traffic. Okay? Simple, easy question. It says it right in here. Keep more questions coming in. There are many places sidewalks are not provided, so pedestrians are required to walk on the left side against traffic. So it's a really slippery slope. If you walk against the flow of the traffic, you still can be hit because no one is going to see you. Why not walk on the right side of traffic? The law states that you should, I'm going back to the rules. If you have a bicycle, you should be riding with the flow of the traffic. If you are a pedestrian and no sidewalk is provided, you should walk against the flow of the traffic so you can see cars coming at you. Is it safe for pedestrians to walk through a construction zone? I would say walk on the edge. I would not walk through a construction zone because you're going to get ran over. I would walk on the edge, on the inside edge by the road, or maybe the outside edge. You got to find out what is safest. Okay, I like the question. So my answer to you, do what is safest. Can bikes also turn right on red? Bikes have to, remember, bikes need to follow the same laws. If a bike doesn't stop and turns right on red, you're going to hit them because they didn't stop. If you're going straight and the bicyclist pulled out and made their right turn, they broke the law. So Ben, I'm going with laws. Okay, so bicyclists should be following the same rules as motorists. I like the question. There are many places where sidewalks aren't provided. Let's use Lex as an example. She's kind of in a rural area. There's a soft shoulder. If I was riding in that area, I would ride kind of to the top side of the road because she's on a dirt road. It's crown shaped. If I ride to the side, I'm going to sink and go into the ditch. And she told me that, yeah, this is where we went into the ditch. Okay. So I would still ride with the flow of the traffic, but I'm looking behind me and I'm looking forward. And it talks about this. Rural areas are increasing the places where sidewalks are provided. Where Lex lives, there is no sidewalks. There aren't sidewalks there. Okay. Is the right hook for bikes the same as pedestrians? The answer is no. But you still could hit a pedestrian because if there's a sidewalk, the pedestrian should be walking on the sidewalk. Should be. And if the pedestrian wants to go straight across and you're making a right turn, if you don't see them, you could hit them. And then the pedestrian say, you know what? They hit me. And I'm getting a lawyer and I'm suing. They made eye contact with me. I made eye contact with them again. People have cameras. So you want to be aware. So Grace, to answer your question, increase awareness for you as a driver, increase awareness for pedestrians. There needs to be a pedestrian bicycle class to really help people understand. We don't want to get anyone hurt. Which roads receive sidewalks? So And I'm going back to Lex. She's in a rural area. They're starting to build houses, but there aren't sidewalks out there. Okay. This is very confusing, but it kind of answers some of your questions. Okay. And I'm talking about this right now. Sometimes there will only be enough room for the sidewalk. So I think Jen asked about construction. If you're a pedestrian and the sidewalk is closed, there should be an area where you walk. See it? There should be an area. Okay. If I'm a sign or construction worker, you went through a training course. You're going to make a temporary sidewalk. That's like some of you were making that right turn and you went into the wrong lane and I saved you. Even though there's no lane, the lane is still open. They're replacing the asphalt. Okay. School zones may have areas that are designated slower than normal speeds. Most of you know this. Pedestrian crosswalks. Pedestrians have a responsibility to cross at the intersection, at the corner. Any intersection should be treated as if it has a crosswalk. So let's use Lex again. She's out in the country. Any intersection should be treated as it has a crosswalk. Okay. Laws governing pedestrians crossings, walk, don't walk. You guys know what this means. Pedestrians should not be walking when the do not walk sign is flashing, but they might try to beat the light. You got to be careful. You got to slow down. Put in questions. In the absence of a special crossing signal, the law requires pedestrians to adhere to traffic. For a green light, pedestrians facing the signal may proceed with marked to unmarked crosswalks. Some of your neighborhoods don't have stop signs or yield signs. You got to be aware. For a steady yellow, pedestrians are advised there's not enough time. Some pedestrians, you see a yellow light, you're like, Grandma walked in front of me. That kid walked in front of me. That man walked in front of me. You got to not hit them. Okay? Okay, let's get some questions. We're almost done here. Okay, and I'm going to hit you with a quiz on this. So state laws govern motorist behaviors. You need to stop and look before you make a right turn. One thing drivers must never do is to pass another vehicle that is stopped in a crosswalk. You're going to kill someone. Again, on a multi-lane road because you won't see the person. Common crashes involving pedestrians. The right hook, the left cross. Here's a picture of a downtown area. How to avoid pedestrians. Be attentive both sides. We go to downtown areas all the time. People will dash out from the curb. Be aware of your surroundings. Shopping centers, residential, school zones. Parking lots are especially hazardous. We normally don't drive in deep parking lots because people are going out, trying to get to a club, trying to get to wherever their friends are. Okay, how to avoid backing into a pedestrian. Some of you don't look out of your back window and you're going to kill someone. As a driver, walk behind your vehicle before you get into the car to make sure it's clear. Hitting a pedestrian, crossing for school bus, you should never hit that. When people want to walk on that, okay. First, that road is very dangerous. First, let's pause. If I'm on a very dangerous road, I'm crossing at the intersection. So that's going to increase the likelihood that I don't get killed. Okay? If you are dumb enough to walk across a major road, not where the crosswalk is, you're probably going to die. I'll say it again. And I'll read the question. With people walking, if there's no crosswalk, they're supposed to stop for them. You should always yield for a pedestrian. But we know drivers don't listen. They're in a hurry. They road rage. They're not paying attention. So more people are killed. How to avoid hitting a pedestrian? Avoid hitting a pedestrian in a multi-lane crosswalk. I kind of answered your question with putting the common sense back on the pedestrian. If you see someone walking in the middle of the street, slow down, drive around them. Okay? I'm just being honest. So we already talked about the probability. If you hit someone going over 20 miles an hour, they're going to die.
Myles?
Yes.
For a minute. Caden, you got to be on the TV and shut off the TV in your room. Eat your dinner later. Your body's, I can only see part of your legs. Shut your TV off that's reflecting into the camera, or you'll have to come back a different day. Thank you. Shut that TV off behind you. It's blinding us.
Caden, Caden, just follow rules, man. Just turn on your light, bro. I don't want to remove you. Turn on your light in your room. It's always one person, right? We're trying to make everyone. Oh, look at the light. Look at the light. Ah! You got your light on.
That TV behind
Woo, man, cut that off, man. Come on, man. You trying to eat a meal? You trying to be crispy? Wipe the crumbs off your mouth? Come on, baby. Don't roll like that. We're going to remove you, boo-boo. You're going to be like, ah! You're going to be removed, big dog. You better tighten it up. Don't be disrespecting my boy. That's that OG. You better listen. Come on, man. Let me get back. Y'all on that silly, bro. I think we don't see. Okay, let's talk about this. So you've seen the goat's path, right? You see a lot of people walk on the side of the road. They haven't built a sidewalk yet. That's dangerous. More people are catching buses out to suburban areas, rural areas. So technology hasn't caught up yet, okay? So if you see people walking and there's no sidewalk yet, just get over one lane, okay? Some people don't care, Anna. And if you hit someone, they're going to look at who taught you how to drive, how's your driving record. They're going to test you for drugs. Do you have your insurance? They're going to run a background check on you. They're going to check everything. And if there's anything that's wrong, Anna, that's the possibility of a lawsuit. People are so crazy. And we live by very busy, dangerous roads. And people will walk out in the middle of the street. They will do crazy stuff. You gotta be a better defensive driver. And Anna, I know someone will take your head off if you don't meet that expectation. And Anna, I love that because you have someone who really cares and loves you. And I would be sad if an accident happened with one of my students. Real talk. So you gotta watch out for crazy people. They're going to walk on the side of the road. They're going to do crazy stuff. And I have some good videos that I emailed to myself, and I'm going to show you that in a few minutes. So you got to be careful of pedestrians. And they'll walk on a busy road. Okay, there are some areas that have pedestrian overpasses. The areas we live in, we don't have money like that. But some of the newer areas, they'll build a bridge over the main road, and pedestrians should be walking over that. Okay? This is kind of a refuge lane. You'll see this in downtown areas. Pedestrians can get to the middle really quick. It's by cement and it's covered. Some people will do that, okay? This is kind of called a pork chop. Not like a pork chop you eat, but you've got to be really aware. They'll have these in a lot of more advanced downtown areas. It costs a lot of money. So a lot of areas we live in just don't have this money for this. Now you see the signaled crosswalks, okay? Pedestrian traffic, rectangular rapid flashing, you'll see that. They're along many major routes, okay? All of you know about the walk, do not walk. This is called a hawk. I can show you a picture of that, and I like the bird, okay? If you are driving and you see a pedestrian out in front of you, slow down, let them finish walking. If they're on the opposite side of the street and you're not sure, slow down. Okay? Slow down. Some people say, I saw Anna in that Bronco. She was going fast. She was on her phone. And she looked down and she hit that man and he flew up in the air and broke his back. And Anna, you know that was not the truth. You slowed down and they walked in front of you. So you don't want to be in that situation because you're going to be under scrutiny, okay? They're going to look at everything you've done, your driving record. You don't want to be in that situation, okay? And let's use Anna because she's an awesome person. Yield earlier. Check traffic earlier, okay? Any downtown areas, you know it's going to be people walking out in front of you, okay? So I need you to put in 2 things you learned in your own words. All of you need to put in 2 things you learned. Okay, you put in 2 things you learned. Motorists and bicyclists and pedestrians are all traffic. Each mode of traffic, whether it's motorized or non-motorized, has specific rules. Pedestrians need to follow the rules. Bicyclists need to follow the rules. If you're in a car, you need to follow the rules. Okay? Awareness of laws specifically to each of these modes helps road users negotiate traffic, no matter what mode you're using. If you're walking, you better be following pedestrian rules. If you're riding a bike, you better be following bicyclist rules. If you're in a car, you better be following motor vehicle rules. If you're in a semi, you better be following school bus. You gotta follow the rules. And if someone isn't following the rules, okay, let's pretend Seth was riding his bike to practice and he was in a hurry and he didn't yield and his light was getting ready to turn yellow and Seth has got to get to practice. Seth, you're not going to be late to practice. We know you're going to go through the light. So yield, cover your brake, take your time. Remember that all road users are people. Many of them have families and friends, and you want to return home. Okay, I don't want to see the blood on your hands or my hands. We struck a pedestrian. Oh my God. And then everyone's videoing us. Okay, Facebook, TikTok, YouTube, Instagram, X. Everyone is video. Snap. Oh my God, this girl just hit someone. Really? I don't want to even manifest that. That's serious. Like, if anything you picked up today, like understand vulnerable road users. Understand bicyclists more. Give them more room. Understand little kids. Understand that old people, and we can say your parents are old, they're twice your age. Your mama's not 20. Your mama's not 30. Okay? Your mama didn't have you when she was 15. Okay? Your mother had you in her late 20s or early 30s. Okay? And parents want to stay active. They want to get out, ride their bikes. And then now we got the e-scooters. And that's crazy because people are doing 30, 25, and then they're crashing too. So you got to remember the walk, don't walk signs. You got to remember pedestrians. We don't drive in parking lots because it's too dangerous. Okay? I'll have you park in a school parking lot or a department store parking lot, but we don't park by cars. I never have you do that. I'm like, don't park by cars. Okay. Don't park by poles because you could hit the gas instead of brake and we die. We were backing up by the driving school. Person hit the gas. I'm like, oh my God, we almost ran over something. Okay. You got to check for pedestrians. Okay. If there's a sidewalk, you should be walking on the sidewalk. If there's construction, and Jenny asked a good question, there should be an area, and this is more pronounced in downtown, like downtown Detroit, downtown New York, downtown Chicago. There's a little area where you walk through for pedestrians, and that's more advanced construction. If a person is walking in a crosswalk and your light's green, just slow down. Don't change lanes in a hurry because the pedestrian might not see you. School zones, you already know, reduce speed. I'm just going backwards to go forwards. Pedestrians must walk where the sidewalks are provided. Okay? But people, I don't want to walk on the sidewalk. Okay? Motorists must give bicyclists clearance. Okay, there are different rules and different laws, but I just want you to be educated. Bike lanes, and more societies are doing this. Yes, go to the bathroom. Buffered lanes. You're sharing the road with bikes. Okay, bike lanes. There are more of this. Okay, you're going to have a question on dooring people. The Dutch Reach. I'm getting you prepared right now. The door zone. If you're riding a bike, you shouldn't be riding by parked cars. You're about to get flipped, knock your front teeth out. I told you this mother dislocated her collarbone, knocked her front teeth out. Okay, I'm trying to, and then drive outs. Carson asked this name, and Carson asked, well, what if I'm driving and someone just pulls out in front of me? As part of your responsibility, 50% is yours, 50% is the bicyclist. Okay, and really, you pull into McDonald's, Carson. You got your Big Mac, you got your fries, you sticking fries in your nose, you eating good, and you pull out in front of traffic and you get hit. Carson, that's your fault because you didn't yield to traffic. You always have to yield. Okay. Vulnerable road users, little kids, old people, and old is a relative term. Some of you have shoes that are 1 year old. Like, I got old shoes. Your shoes aren't old. You just have worn them. Right hook. We talked about the right hook. We talked about the left cross. We talked about how big cars, trucks, and buses are. They probably won't see you. There's a lot of communities in our area that have open areas. Okay. A lot of these are college towns. You're going to see people riding bikes. When you go to college, people aren't driving cars. They're riding bikes. Because you as a freshman, you have to provide parking and pay for parking. If you're driving someone else, hold on, let me read this. Let me get it right. If you are driving someone else's car, and if it acts up and you crash or something, number one, both of you will share the fault. If the car acts up and it's not running properly, I'll tell you the kind thing to do. You shouldn't be riding a friend's car that acts up. That means it's going to break down. And if you're riding your friend's car that breaks down, who's going to get it back? Are you going to have to pay for towing, or is your friend going to have to pay for towing? And then your parents will say, if your friend's car was not acting right, why did they let you use it? Oh, you're right, Mom. You're right, Dad. So think about what you just asked me. If I have a ghetto cruiser and it doesn't work, I'm not going to let you use my car. My car's not running good. I'm not going to set you up for failure, but some of your friends will set you up for failure because they don't care. Okay? So either you are going to take responsibility if the car breaks down. Let's pretend you're driving the car, Anna, and it breaks down in the middle of the road and the car gets hit. Well, you left the car in the middle of the road, so someone's at fault. And if you leave a car there, you will get your car ticketed. So you got to make sure your friends have good working cars. So Anna, have your own ride, girl. You already know. You can't rely on your friends. Girl, let me use your truck. No. You know I'm telling the truth, Anna. No. Why are you always asking me? Because her car's crap. My mom and dad got me this. It's got to last me through college. Anna, you'll find out. But I wouldn't let anyone use my car who's not a good driver. And if they smash it, well, your brakes didn't work, bro, so I hit a car. What? So you want to be in a good mechanically sound car. Okay, we talked about gravel spray. We talked about speeding. The faster you go, the more likely you are to kill someone. If you're going 20 and hit someone, 9 out of 10 times they survive. You're going 30 and you hit someone, 5 out of 10 they survive. You're going 40, they're gone. So yes, go to the bathroom. Let's keep going. Speed kills. Speed never lies. Remember, speed kills. So that's a good thing to remember. Bicyclists may ride side by side. You want to be prepared. You want to be predictable. They should be using hand signals. This is slow down and stop. This is a right turn. This is a right turn. This is a left turn. You should know that. We see that sometimes with people who have vintage motorcycles. VRUs are vulnerable road users. Okay, we talked about this. You got to know who they are, what they are. And I'll say, hey, is that a vulnerable road user? Well, what are you talking about, bro? Vulnerable road users. Okay, children, elderly, and individuals with disabilities. More and more people with disabilities are learning how to drive. Okay, someone with cerebral palsy who doesn't have those issues anymore, they can drive. You'll see those mobility vans, they have an actual wheelchair lift that a person can get into the van or get into the van. It has hand controls. You're going to see that more and more. 2 or 3 years ago, if you had a disability, you couldn't drive. You were stuck at home your whole life. Now, there are people with disabilities. I'm going out. I got my battery pack. I'm going out. People are going out, man. They're not staying home anymore. So you're going to see a different type of road user. I want to say thank you. Hopefully you enjoyed this. Look at my content. Subscribe. Bye.